So let's start. We are live.
Thank you. Hi,
Assalamu
Hina.
okay. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome everyone. Today here another interview guest. So today we are joined by an inspiring educator and digital leader who is transforming the way technology supports teaching and learning. She is widely recognized for her work in AI, teacher workload reduction, and building strong digital skills in students. Please welcome Charlotte Bleakley. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, first of all, thank you so much for connecting me and accept my invitation for interview.
Okay.
So, first question in my mind is, can you briefly share your journey from being a classroom teacher to becoming a digital education leader?
Yes. So my background is as an English teacher, so English literature and language. And I have been a teacher now for about 12 years. But I suppose, like for many people, during the global pandemic, our students had to move to a lot of online teaching and education. And during that time, I was helping our staff to sort of be able to share work online, but also start marking it. And luckily, we had already started using Google Classroom at that point. So we already had our classes set up. And that came out of me just asking our senior leadership team whether they wanted me to create any training videos, like videos to help other staff be able to share work. And when we were allowed, like obviously back in schools, etc., we wanted to keep up the momentum that we had started with during the lockdowns. So they created the role for me of EdTech coordinator, and then it turned into digital leadership. Um, and now I get to work with my whole trust. So we have 11 schools in our group. I'm at Roding Valley High School mainly 4 days a week. And now I work with other schools, primary, so the younger kids, and secondary students in the older years to start sharing that best practice for digital learning. And obviously, the emergence of AI has spurred that on as well.
That's very inspiring. So let's move to the next question. What does a normal day look like for you in this role, and how do you balance it with classroom teaching?
Mhm. So I have had to step away from English teaching a little bit. So I am a media teacher as well. And so my normal day for me works as I'm in school, my Roding Valley High School classroom 4 days a week. So all days except for Tuesday. And I'm given probably only 2 hours a week to look into digital learning, to help with our Chromebook scheme. So we have one member of SLT, our senior leadership team, who is digital lead as well. So we work alongside each other, but he has so many other responsibilities that I support him. But that also means that I teach a timetable of um 15 lessons a week. So it's still the normal, as in today's a bit lighter. I have 3 lessons today. I have my year 13s and 12s, but tomorrow I'm just looking at my timetable. So tomorrow I have my form every day for half an hour, meet with them, like pastoral support. And then tomorrow, for example, I'll have year 12, year 13, year 10, and then year 11. So it is a balance. It's trying to also use the digital teaching and learning that I share with best practice in order to balance my marking. So one of the things we've moved to, for example, in media, and I know across the school, is instead of having constantly taking in work to red pen mark, it will be setting a knowledge test that we've created on Google Forms using something called brisk teaching. and the students will expect that every 2 weeks to test their revision and their knowledge, and that self-marks. So whilst also finding a balance, it's using a bit of technology to help with my own workload as well as the other stuff.
Yes, you are right. It's a very well balanced. So let's move to the next question. In the last 2 years, what digital learning trend surprised you the most?
It must be, I think probably most people, it must be the AI learning trend. Obviously AI has always been around, but the fact that it's now being built into our systems, in terms of, so because we're a Google school, but even we have Microsoft, for example, the reading coach. We're practicing oracy with our AI. It's giving instant feedback to the students on pronunciation, and the personalized learning is something that I wouldn't have expected. So being able to use chatbots, and students being able to ask questions and get their own personalized feedback was something that I don't think any of us really could predict until we had large language models like sort of becoming more public.
Interesting point. So, what is the biggest opportunity that generative AI offer for teaching and learning today?
Um, so I suppose personalized learning. So what I've mentioned before, where students all work at different paces and can, because of AI, have things explained to them on their level in their reading age, um, but also interrogate it more. So if they're a student who wants to find out more about it or is ahead of the others, rather than that more traditional static classroom where you've got one teacher maybe at the front or walking around the room, we are seeing the teacher acting more as obviously the teacher, but then at moments in a lesson, it becomes a facilitator and just supporting those students to being able to upskill themselves with the teacher's help. So I think the opportunity for that personalized learning and therefore making sure that every student in the class is able to access the learning, with that obviously becomes the barriers of, do you have one-to-one devices? Are your teachers upskilled enough? Do you have access to the technology? But I think that is a really good opportunity. From the teacher point of view, I would say workload. As AI increases and gets better, even just from our own laptops and computers, uh, the ability to be able to do batch marking, which I still have some concerns about, in terms of, we don't want teachers to just batch mark and not read their student work. I think it's about setting up well in your school and in across your organization, because new teachers could definitely maybe be tempted to come into teaching and then rely on batch marking and AI marking their students' work, which will only lead them to not understand where their students are at, but also not actually develop that experience of what does a good answer look like, what's a bad or worse answer look like. So over reliance, but like any tool, it can be used for good. It can be used in a less good way.
Great opportunity, you tell me. So, what is the biggest ethical or teaching challenge schools must address when using AI?
Um, I think it starts with obviously the education of AI, of what students understanding what it is, about, especially when it comes to biases and hallucinations. I think that tends to be a go-to answer for most people, that before we just let our students just use AI, that they need to understand what it is and how it can be used for good or bad. But I know that within that, the challenges for schools is where to put that learning, because extra learning for our students doesn't just, come out of thin air. It has to replace something else. So even at Roding Valley here, we've done a little bit of AI literacy through our morning form times, but it's not yet inbuilt into our personal development scheme. It's more just sort of like shoehorned in. And it would be nice to have the time to sit down and think, right, where actually are we going to put this AI literacy that's going to come into play year after year? Because I think it's important enough now.
Yes, right. This is very important concern. So let's move to the next question. Can you give a simple example of AI helping with planning and resource creation?
Yeah. So am I okay to mention tools on here that I like? Or
Okay, helpful example. So in the
um,
next
I,
3 to
sorry, I'll just quickly just add on there. Google Classroom now has Gemini resource creation built in. And so that's really easy. And Microsoft are doing the same. But there's also tools that are free, like Magic School, Brisk Teaching, that can make resources that teachers might have taken ages to create before. Now you can get a website or a YouTube video and it will turn it into a resource, as long as the teachers then tweaks it and changes it to match their class. So
thank you. So can in the next 3 to 5 years, where do you expect the biggest AI driven change in your experience?
um, I think it's going to we're going to see it in our exams marking, or at least I hope to see some of it. I don't know what the consequences of that would be, where maybe the exams that our students write, for 2 hours will change because the needs that we have from our future workers is going to change because of AI. So I'm hoping to see maybe some of that reflected in our curriculum examinations, maybe with more critical thinking, maybe more impact on and importance placed on team building, people, human skills, rather than our exams at the moment, which just regurgitate, like repeat information. We know that ChatGPT or Gemini, etc., can do that now. It can just tell us information. So why would we want our students just to be doing the same? I think more emphasis on critical thinking through the curriculum is what I'm hoping that AI will affect on education.
Exciting future ahead. So
Cool. You cut out there. I can't hear you.
okay, sorry. What
I can
tool
hear
or
you.
strategy has saved teacher the most time in your experience?
What was the first part again? The what feature?
What tool or strategy?
Um, I think putting if we focus on AI, not having your whole lesson with AI, use it like any um, tool that you would in a lesson. There's a time and a place for it. So, for example, in one of my lessons, I would introduce an exam question to my older year groups. We would discuss, we would teach the content around it at sort of a foundational level of what we already know, a bit of recall. Then I might bring in the AI tool. So something like Notebook LM or Brisk Boost, where the students can get their own knowledge, write it down in their book. And then what's important is then collaborating and sharing. So it's more that digital technology isn't going to take over the whole lesson. It's not, I'm going to now spend an hour walking around the room because you're all using laptops. It's where can I put in the technology that's going to help at the best point in the lesson. So even for collaboration, we've used Google Meet for annotating and sharing best ideas, or you could use platforms like Padlet for sharing. So it can still be digital technology to collaborate and share, or you just, talk and have an actual real debate if your students are practicing their oracy skills.
Good, huge time saver. I think so. So, what are the top three digital literacy skills students need for the future?
Um, Prompting, although I've heard that that might actually be phased out at some point. Um, but I still think understanding how to get the best out of an AI is one. So what are you putting into it in order to get the best output? I still think that there is a human element of once you have something created from AI, then changing it yourself. So not just relying on the final output from the AI, it's what can you edit so that whether this is if AI has created a video for you, then you might just need to then obviously edit that afterwards. Thirdly, I would say maybe even building AI. If we're in a future where AI is only going to grow, then maybe there is more of an emphasis on people who can um, create AIs.
Okay, essential skills indeed.
Mhm.
So next to the move to the next question. Can you share a successful project you lead on digital citizenship or online?
Yeah. So I suppose there's a few. If we look at our art, like Roding Valley TV is something that we've just launched. But as in we launched back in September. And this is where a group of our students come to club every Monday. And we are now making, or they are making their own videos. So whether that is to help other students, like learning about Google Classroom, how to submit homework, or doing interviews for our upcoming shows. So it's putting a bit of the power back into our students' hand, and that runs alongside our school magazine. So teaching video editing, but also teaching recording skills, and but also data protection of storing people's photos on your phone, and where are they going to be stored, and how are we going to be safe with the videos that they capture. So like we've already posted one onto our public YouTube channel, and then we've got made a few for our open evenings. But I suppose giving our students the chance to film and edit and make and lead um, the videos and the social media that they want to be seeing coming out of our school.
Great initiative. Okay. What qualities does a leader need to drive digital transformation in a school?
They need to be able to work with a range of people. You're going to be working with senior leadership teams, so above you, and you're going to be working with the teachers who are in classrooms every day. So it's making sure that the language you're using isn't too high pitched, isn't too technical, because we have a lot of teachers who feel still scared about technology, and if you start throwing you know words in like large language models and things like that, or hallucinations, they don't know what you're talking about. So being able to pitch to the right people, but without senior leadership support, you won't be able to get very far. So also being fine to go into those meetings and being able to express why this is important for your students, but also for the outcomes of the school. So being able to talk in the language that your senior leadership team need to hear, and they're thinking about progress and data and outcomes. So just being able to match between those two worlds.
Strong leadership qualities, you tell us. What common mistake do schools make new uh, adopting new learning technologies? What mistake?
Um, the whole saying of running before you can walk. So just sort of thinking, oh, this is exciting. Let's roll this out completely across the school, without necessarily looking into the data protection, without having those other stages in place, or thinking, what do the students think of this tool? What do the staff think of this tool? So one way that we've got around that is doing pilots. So we might choose one class or one year group to roll with an initiative, and then we'll see with the teachers and students how that goes before we then roll it out to the whole school.
That's a key reminder. So, if you could change one technology policy in education, what would it be?
One education policy. Um, I don't know. What aren't I happy with? It's a tough one. I suppose. I mean, the exam. It's not so much a policy, but the whole emphasis on the exams being the only way of um, assessing our students is difficult because we have so many students who have different skills, different ways of learning, and I don't think that our exams are the only way to measure their ability. I understand that it needs to be standardized to an extent, but I do think they need to change. And so, under that, with policy, it would be maybe being more broad with the ways that we can assess students. So, whether that is, maybe being able to let them use AI, but then we are interviewing them on what they think about it. Why not use AI to prepare for an assessment and then being able to talk to them and debate with them? I know that universities some universities in England allow students to submit a video project alongside a shorter essay rather than a 3,000 word essay. So I do think the policies around examinations and assessments is some big one that needs to change.
Very impactful idea. So, let's move to the
Sorry.
next question. It's okay. What has been the most rewarding movement for you as a digital education leader?
Um, I think it's the times when we get all of our teachers together and we call these teach meets. Um, and our teachers share how they've used a tool that I've shared before. So I've delivered like some training, and then we'll meet in a month later all together, and different teachers across the school will, in different areas, might show like maths, and this is how we use that tool, and this is how we found it. And hearing real stories from our teachers about how it's helped them, I think for me that's the most rewarding because I'm seeing that I have a real impact on these on the human level. Um, and I know those teachers are going to be seeing lots of students every day. That impact's going even further. So having that opportunity to share what I have learned, taught them, and how they're using it in the classroom.
Truly meaningful achievement. So, how do you guide students to use social media and online platforms responsibly?
We have, I think this is an area that we should be doing more in. Um, there are certain points in the year where we will have assemblies, we'll have personal development once a week. So it's about a 45-minute session, an hour session sometimes, um, every Monday, where students do personal development. And part of that course is e-safety. But I think because it's almost like you do it once a year, that module, and you don't revisit it unless there's an assembly on it, I think it is something that could be embedded more into our curriculum.
Okay, thank you for very important guidance. What skills should teachers develop today to stay future ready in education?
Um, I think that they need to embrace technology um, because it's going to get harder. You're going to have teachers coming in doing things a lot quicker, a lot less admin work who can use technology. Um, so I think there's the whole thing of AI, for example, won't replace teachers, but teachers that use AI could replace teachers who don't. So if teachers are being able to manage their workload and work-life balance better, because they are relying on some technology and tools to help them, then they're going to have more free time. They're going to feel probably hopefully better in their own well-being with that work-life balance. So my advice would be sort of like you have to sort of change with the times, especially when it comes to technology.
Excellent forward thinking for us because I am also a AI teacher. So it's very uh, interesting. And last question before we close, is there one final message or advice you would like to leave one advice with today students and teachers both?
I think there's so many people out there who are happy to help and share best practice, and this at absolutely no cost. So all around the world, for example, there are Google education groups. I'm part of like Google Education England, and what we do is it's free. We sign up and we share best practice and we ask questions of each other. And there's so many of these communities that people aren't aware of where you can upskill yourself, you can ask questions. There are meetings and conferences to go to, and most of these are free. And I think take advantage of those people who are happy to share and happy to support, and reach out to them. And it's not a scary place. A lot of us are very friendly and willing to like just share and help, because mainly we're all educators, and our heart's in the right place, and that's one of the reasons we became teachers. So my final advice would be reach out to others, explore opportunities around you already.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your insights, your clarity, and your passion
Sure.
for improving teaching and learning have
Thank
truly
you.
made this conversation valuable and inspiring.
Thank you, Nam. Thank you for interviewing me, and I hope that it was helpful.
Thank you. We appreciate your time and your expertise.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you so much once again, and we wish you continued success and your journey ahead.
Same to
Thank you
you.
so much.
And keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.